Wednesday, August 16th, and I want to talk this morning about a move that the Biden government made almost 2 years ago, and it's coming to fruition. It's reaching almost 20 million people right now. It's a critical move that was made that affected the internet service of all these people. But before I talk to you about this event, this new deal, so to speak, let me give you a little background on where I come from and why I believe that this is such an important thing. I graduated from high school at the age of 17, and I wasn't interested in going to college. I was fed up with getting an education at that point. But my family had belonged to unions, and this particular union was District 65, the Warehouse Workers of America, so to speak. And I got a good job working in the Miles Shoe Warehouse, making $60 a week. That didn't last long. I got myself fired. But that didn't stop me because I just went down to the hiring hall and got another job. But after 3 years or so, I said, I'm getting nowhere, and I decided I better go back to college. And meanwhile, I was courting my wife, and before I got into college again, I was married and I had 2 kids. And I started college and I stopped college. And eventually I decided I'd better get this job done. I better get college education out of the way. And so I went and I had a job in the U.S. Post Office at that time. And I went to night school. And finally, at the age of 30 years, I graduated from college. And then I went out looking for a job. I was going to get a job as an accountant because I had a degree in accounting. But I found out very quickly that the accountants in this country are very cheap. And nobody would give me $100 a week because that's what I felt I needed. And I had a wife and 2 kids. So I ended up taking a civil service test and I got a job as a New York State tax auditor for $110 a week. And I was working on that job a couple of weeks, or maybe it was a couple of months, and a friend of mine told me that he was taking some computer classes in Manhattan on Saturdays. So I decided to take some computer classes. After 6 weeks in classes, they told me I was ready to go to work. I could get a job. So I'm making $110 a week as a tax auditor. I send out a couple resumes. Western Electric offers me $150 a week to become a beginning programmer. So that's how I got into the computer business. The end result of that is I went back to college, got a master's in computer science, worked my whole life, almost 50 working years in the computer field. And when I started working in the computer field, there was no such thing as an app. We built everything from scratch. So why am I telling you this now? And computers have become a great part of our lives. And everybody's got a mobile phone, which is really a computer. And so I'm telling you this story because President Biden and his team, as I said at the beginning of this rant, have arranged for these 20 million, almost 20 million people now, 2 years after the program started, to get reasonably priced internet service. And that will improve the lives of 20 million people who are in the poor categories. Those who don't make much money on their job. And computers and the internet is a big expense for those people. So Biden has put forth this benefit that will allow low-income people to get compensated for having internet service. No cheap deal. And that can improve the lives of all of these people. So this is something that doesn't make a big splash. It's not a big headline. So this is a recognition of the fact that everything that we do nowadays is somehow or other linked to an internet connection. And because Biden started this action 2 years ago, there are almost 20 million U.S. households are now receiving discounts on their internet service. And this is all part of a federal program that is designed to close the digital gap. It is designed to bring these families into the competition that exists with those making more money than they are. It's a crucial communication device that has kept this segment of our society, the poor, out of the economic loop, so to speak. The program goes under the name of the Affordable Connectivity Program. And it has addressed the issue by providing $30 a month subsidies to eligible U.S. households. So recipients living on tribal land can receive even more, up to $75 a month to cover the internet costs. So not only are we looking at the poor and the disadvantaged, we're also looking at our indigenous people and attempting to take care of them too. Now, U.S. residents can qualify for this program if they meet eligibility requirements. And those eligibility requirements come under the heading of participating in other government assistance programs, including SNAP or Medicaid. So if your income is below a certain level, or if any of these families have recently received federal Pell Grants, they can get this internet service at a very reasonable cost. But as usual, the U.S. population has not responded with the enthusiasm that I believe it should have responded with. So far since its inception, only about 40% of those who are eligible for this benefit have taken advantage of it. Because we have 50 million people in this country who live at the poverty level. And so far we've only got about 20 million enrolled in this internet benefit. What is wrong with us? Maybe we have to make sure that everybody gets their hands on a computer, or at least a cell phone. Is that the problem? That we have 30 million people who can't even afford the device? Or haven't found a way to get a device that will get them access to the internet? Or do they have the device and they don't know what to do and they're not interested in being on the internet? Anyhow, that's part of our conundrum. It's part of our problem. We don't necessarily advertise properly. I'm not even sure that all the poor people in this country know about this internet benefit. And even if they do, maybe they're so poor that they can't even afford whatever the benefit gives them. We need to do a better job for our poor. We haven't done a very good job for them so far. In fact, we're fighting in many, many places to have the minimum wage increased, and that doesn't work. So why am I surprised that we don't have 100% of the poor invested in this internet program? It's a symptom that goes on in this country. And I know there are some who don't believe in the internet and some who are afraid to use it, etc., etc. But it's a big mistake. Get into this program if you can. And I'm sure nobody who's seeing this rant needs to know that. Have a great day. Bye.